So okay, I'm recording. Audio levels are good. Okay, good. Hello and welcome to the Georgia Music Gamers podcast. As always, this is your host, Cyber, and I'm back with Jayhan again.
Hello.
With another exclusive interview. On this week's program, I have the honor of introducing the one, the only, Thomas Howard.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for being on the program with us. So just to get this out of the way, Thomas is an established singer, songwriter, and author living in Ashiya, Japan. Is that right?
That's right.
He originally hails from the Midwest of Minnesota. You probably know him best for his various song contributions to the Bemani series of games. Thomas is incredibly prolific, having created a series of impactful and memorable songs in DDR, Beatmania, and especially Guitar Freaks and Drum Mania, amongst other games. If you've played a Bemani game, chances are pretty high that you've played a song that Thomas has had a hand in. So in addition to having worked for Konami in the past, Thomas also produces his own music. You can find most of his music for sale on CD Baby website, on the Apple Music Store, and on Reverb Nation, and we'll include links in the description of the podcast. So again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be part of this program.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start with an icebreaker question. I'm trying to make this a thing. So what's the one thing that people might find surprising about you that isn't obvious based on your public reputation?
Wow. Oh. Gosh. What do I do if I'm stumped? He stumped me. What's the one thing? But there's nothing surprising. I play a lot of jazz. I don't know, a lot of jazz piano.
Okay.
Maybe they wouldn't expect that from hearing the game music.
You perform at clubs and stuff, right? Like clubs and gigs and all that?
Yeah. Every day, usually, except today.
So Thomas Howard is the perfect example of a working musician. I think that'd be fair to say. All right. Well, on that note, how long have you been playing instruments and composing music?
I started writing songs when I was about 16, so that's... Do we really want to say how many decades that was? lot of decades. Enough decades to get a gray beard going. So.
Awesome. Were you classically trained as a musician, or did you learn on your own? And how was that like?
Yeah, I came from a sort of classical music family. My father played violin, my mother played piano, and my sister and grandparents, and I was just given lessons by my mother pretty much until I was a teenager. Then I got a proper piano teacher for a while, and then I rebelled.
And then you rebelled?
Yeah, then I did. I wanted to just write songs and play pop tunes, rock songs and stuff.
Okay. Is the piano your preferred instrument?
Yeah, I also, I've always played some acoustic guitar and folk guitar. Yeah. There was always a guitar in our house, so.
Oh, that's pretty cool. It sounds like you have a very musical family.
Yeah.
Joe,
it seems normal to me, but.
Yeah, I mean, I learned acoustic guitar growing up, but not much beyond that. And I feel like John, didn't you used to play upright bass or something like that?
Cello. I used to play cello through middle school, high school.
Okay.
Cello?
Yeah, cello.
I played trombone in elementary school.
Nice.
That's cool.
It was heavy to carry around.
Okay. So when did you move to Japan, and how long have you been living there? Or roundabouts, how long have you been living there?
Okay, I've lived in Japan about 30 years.
Wow.
So I came here in 1985.
That's the year I was born.
I was going to guess it's something like that. 85, and I came with a band. We had just like a cover band. I was living in LA, and we had a cover band, and we got a gig to Japan. So that's how I came here.
Oh, okay. So you had a gig.
Yeah, it was a 3-month, 6 nights a week gig.
Oh wow.
You had a gig and then you just never left?
Well, I did. I left and came back a bunch of times. I got more jobs every time I'd come back, and I went back to LA for a couple of years, actually, at one point. And I came back here, and I went to Minnesota for a couple of years again. And then my wife came to America. She sort of dragged me back to Japan. And then I never left after that.
So that's interesting. Did y'all get married in Japan and then you came back to America, or how did that work out?
We got married in Minnesota. Actually.
Oh wow, okay, awesome.
And we lived there for maybe 6 months after that. After we got married.
And it sounds like she wanted to go. She wanted to go back home after that point, I guess.
She wanted to go home, and we didn't really plan to permanently come back here necessarily. It was kind of in the air. We came back for a while, and then sort of grew roots and had kids.
Awesome. So what would you say you were mostly known for before you started contributing music to Konami, like musically?
What was I mostly known for? I guess just my life, just playing live, hotel gigs.
Okay.
Before that, band gigs, I guess. I always wrote songs, but for that, I hadn't really landed anything major.
Okay. All right, so we'll go into Konami now. How long have you been working with Konami, and can you recount how you started with them?
Oh, yeah, I was singing and playing once a week at this oldies club, the 50s and 60s music in Kobe. And the manager of one of those chain restaurants knew me, and for some reason, Konami was reaching out to people and just asking, do they know any foreign musicians that are in Japan? Mm. And he gave them my number. And then I had finished my first CD, which is called Let the World In. And I just sent them that as a demo.
And after that, I'm sorry, can you read that? Let the World, what? I didn't catch the last part.
Oh, the CD is called Let the World In.
Okay.
I can go get one and show you what it looks like. It's not up on iTunes or anything. I made 1,000 of them, and I sold the first 1,000 of them after I made it. But then after that, I just have a few around.
Sure. Awesome. Okay, yeah, because we were wondering what that demo tape was exactly. We couldn't find it.
It was just original songs. Yeah, it was just that album. It was the only thing I had. Really,
cool. Can you recall what was the first contribution you did for Konami?
Yeah, Eyes of Kids. That was a Sakurai song. I didn't write the lyrics for that because that was before they started hiring me as a lyricist. They just hired me as a vocalist, and somebody had already. So I just went in and sang. They hired me for 5 songs, I guess, and then they didn't have lyrics yet, and they asked me if I knew anybody who could write lyrics. I said, no. So, and then after that, I just started writing lyrics for it. So I was lucky, I was lucky to be there at that time when they didn't really have a lot of choices, probably. They just had me, so they went with it.
A lot of those early tunes, it seemed like you worked with Elizabeth Dobbs. Was she somebody that you knew personally, or someone you got to know through Konami?
Actually, she was English. Is that right? Yeah. From England, I think. And she was singing in a Budweiser bar near my house. Right near my house. And I had never been in there, but I knew they had live music because some other musician I knew had sung at a Budweiser bar. And so I'd pass there on my way home. And after Konami said they were going to hire me, they asked me if I knew any other singers, especially female singers. And I said, well, I can try to find some. So I stopped into that Budweiser bar and I heard her sing, and she sounded good. So I gave her the information and said, if you have a demo, send it to them and maybe they'll hire you. And they did. That's really how that happened. So
That's cool.
And I think she went to, after her gig was finished, it was months, she just went back to England. I've never heard from her since then, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's interesting how the music industry works, about who you know and the connections and all that. So that's pretty cool. Yeah,
that was just. Yeah, it wasn't even like industry connection so much as just whoever's around, and at that point.
Cool. All right, so we know this answer can be varied depending on the song, but very generally, what was it like working on rhythm game compositions?
Oh, I don't know. There's such a wide variety. It was, for me, the hardest thing is the really up tempo, really fast song. I'm just not. It's just hard. It's hard work, and it's hard. They're hard to sing. They're hard to write lyrics for, compared to things like Koizuka's songs that are more just like a little more relaxed tempo pop songs. Are a lot my wheelhouse, so it's easier. It's more like a song I would write naturally. And Naoki songs, those are all pretty, chill, like easy to.
Okay. So we asked this question before to another artist, but we asked how did you work around the constraints of a game-sized song? Because the game-sized songs tend to be smaller compositions, usually like a minute and a half. And since you've written so many lyrics, like what was it like working against that time limit and
Well, a lot of them are pretty up tempo, so there's a lot of melody and there's a lot of room for lyrics. You have to come up quite a bit, even though it's short time wise, but it's like a 5-minute song crammed in half, really, a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
And in the cases of ballads, sort of medium tempo songs, and it's actually easier because writing the second verse of a song is the hardest thing. Like, you get this idea and you write the verse and it fits. Usually when I write a song, the second verse is where I got to scratch my head and think. My idea came out naturally. I got nothing. That's the hard part.
Right.
Because with the Konami songs, like, you got the idea and you got the chorus, and so you don't have to come up with it too. So it's actually kind of easy. And I found they would give me. I always look for whatever constraints I can find to like narrow it in a certain like box, and then it's really easy to work within. So if they tell me they want it to be this kind of song, that sparks ideas, and it's actually easier than just having a blank canvas.
Okay.
Anyway, it actually helps to have a sort of a template, and it's like really easy to just channel ideas to that.
So it's you'd say maybe it's a bit more focused when you've got the framework already set up, and it's just filling in.
I just find it really easy. When I'm sitting down to just write a song myself, sometimes I don't have any ideas, and sometimes I just come up with nothing because I don't know what I'm writing about. So as soon as I've got some strong idea in my head, that already makes it. But
okay. All right, so we talked about rhythm game compositions. Okay, I guess the next major question. Someone asked this before, and I think it's a pretty interesting question. So you create English lyrics for most of your songs, but these games are typically for a Japanese audience. Of course, we get them eventually, but they're made with Japanese in mind. So does that affect your lyrical composition at all when you're creating these songs, or do you just create, based on however you feel?
Yeah, I don't think about it. I don't think if I thought about that, I'd be like all blocked. I wouldn't be able to do anything because that's really hard. I mean, lyrics are full of idioms and slang, and maybe I don't use as much, but I don't think I tend to use that much slang in my lyrics anyway, just naturally, like like hip hop culture slang or anything like that. I just don't. So
that's good. So, and you've obviously provided lyrics for a ton of songs. You mentioned previously that when Konami asked who could write lyrics, you went ahead and volunteered. But
right, and I didn't know.
Go ahead.
I didn't know if they'd like what I came up with, so I don't know if they are even good judges of English lyrics, but they seem to like most things. So it's really hard to tell. But
well, I mean, yeah, they obviously like you because they brought you back so many times after the fact. But what are some of your favorite songs that you've provided lyrics for that you can recall?
Well, I liked "Depend on Me." That was a good lyric, just like a really solid lyric. But and the song just came together really well. It just like fit. And then Out of Breath was another good one with Sakurai.
I'm out of breath, fighting back tears, waiting for years for a moment like this. I'm out of breath, and you can't find the words. It's a chance in a lifetime I don't want to miss. Give it my all.
And Ballad for You is one I like. When I imagined that song in my head, I was kind of inspired by the old Smokey Robinson song, Tears of a Clown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I imagined that kind of situation, and then I just wrote my own song based on that. So somebody who's acting like they're all happy and smiling, but they're actually, feeling bad inside or something.
Yeah.
Covering it. And then I like the funny ones. I like, the silly one. I got pretty silly with a lot of those songs. So
yeah, we noticed, but that's why we love you though, because it's great. It's memorable stuff.
Like Double Trouble and.
It doesn't matter if you lose again, no. You look for trouble everywhere you go. You always end it, broke me up. Your mama mia always feeding you. You said anything to your double side. Oh, now when your cousin call you elephant, you're like a tumor wearing. I so twisted. T-O-U-B-A is your middle name.
And Fireball and
Oh my God. I get a late night scramble. I got my car all set to scramble. Don't really know where I'm gonna go. I put my foot down on the pedal. I got the pedal to the metal. Go down the highway just like a fireball. I'm rocking till don't stop the fireball bullet.
Wall Street Downsizer, those kind of things. It was just like, I don't know, just being stupid, but it was fun.
Well, Wall Street Downsizer is no joke one of my favorites, so I love it.
I'm so tired of this. Bye-bye.
Yeah, well, and like Susie and the Time Machine, those kind of things. That one actually, I think who wrote the music for that? I think he gave me some direction, like he wanted it to be about something like that.
We got into the time machine together. Something must have gone wrong because we found ourselves in the far future. All the people's faces were long, their eyes were too far apart. I said to Susie, I don't think it would be smart to stick around this place. Let's get in the time machine and do our dark face. We finally got it right at last. And returned to
Like time travel or something, I think.
Let's see. It was credited. Yue. Yue did the recording on that one, and Kozo did the composition, arrangement, and all that.
Kozo Nakamura.
Yeah, see, I know who that is, but I can't picture his face right now. I should look on here.
Kozo worked on Double Trouble, apparently. He did Rock in Paradise. Let's see, Susie and the Time Machine. Libra, he worked on Libra with you.
Oh. Yeah, see, he's one of the guys that wasn't around much, so it's like harder for me to think of his face. He's the guy who wrote Libra?
Composition, yeah.
Yep.
I like Libra. That song, the music was so nice for that song, so it was just really fun to.
once in a lifetime, you find someone you love. Libra, shining in the sun. She's waiting, she's my reason to run. Running for the first time. Running for the first time in my life. Through the mist and see her. Gotta get that girl before she is gone.
Sing. It sounded like the soundtrack for a sitcom or something like Cheers, or like to me somehow it had that kind of feel. Cheers or Friends or kind of 90s guitar, jangly guitar rock kind of thing. And I am pretty sure he requested that title Libra.
Do you know why?
No, I just had to write a song around the word Libra somehow. So Kozo Nakamura. Oh man, I can't even. This photo of him, I can't tell who that is.
Yeah, he's shrouded in mystery. Although he was in Gitado Live, wasn't he?
He was in Gitado Live, so but even then he was wearing like sunglasses. You can't really see his face too well.
God, I can't even. He doesn't work for Konami. Oh, come on.
He no longer works for Konami. He left after XG2. I think that was the last game he contributed.
Oh, no, it's... Oh, well, okay, next. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I'm stuck. Stuck.
Not a problem. Okay, so can you recall any songs that you've had to make concessions for or changes to before they were released?
Well, I think everybody knows the most well-known ones. The what's it called?
Heavens 57 Metallic Gray.
Well, yeah, that one too. But the X and Y axis. Virtual Mind. Yeah. Well.
Scatter, conform, connect, I must protect. Scatter, conform, connect, I must protect. Scatter, conform. In the matrix, live a life on the X and Y axis. Don't pay no taxes, just email and faxes. On the grid, I have no ego in it, but it's primitive. I wanna live. Scatter, conform, connect, I must protect. All rules, a system will reject. It's a legend, instantaneous relation. Evolution or creation. No people got the regulation.
Movie hadn't come out yet, but like right as I wrote or it had come out in America, maybe. I hadn't heard of it. And I wrote that lyric and I called it The Matrix. The first line of the song, in the Matrix, living life on the... Right? So I sent it. I said, it's the the title was The Matrix. And they said, there's a movie. And it was just being advertised on TV that day or so. It was the first time I ever saw it. And I went, oh, wow. What are the odds? So then they said, I got to come up with something else. So I just wrote a whole page of different song title ideas. And they liked Virtual Mind. It was just, I just brainstormed. We had a lot of ideas.
We have a question later about that song, so we can wrap around back to that.
And Heaven is a 57 Chevrolet. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying Chevrolet in a song. There's lots of songs with car names in them. But for some reason in Japan, they're all freaking out about it. So they said I couldn't use Chevrolet. So. And that was the same thing. I wrote a whole page of ideas, and they liked the metallic gray one. So that's what I went with. Nice. And I guess that was a good choice, I guess. It worked out fine. Metallic gray isn't what I would want my dream car to be painted. but apparently, like, it's... comes up with this image of just a guy that's working on his car, and it's like this great car or something. So it kind of works out okay.
Okay. Where did Konami put you under a lot of pressure to make these changes, or like was it like a back and forth, or? No
pressure, no choice. They just said, okay. can't use this. We got to have something else. So.
Do it, or we can't use it. In other words.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, they don't give you choices. They just make the rules and either do it or don't. So.
Okay. And were you ever given the opportunity for like final cut or final say for any of your contributions over the years, like where they gave you maybe full creative freedom?
Not really. I mean, in the studio, of course, I would say I didn't like that take, let me try it again, or whatever. Or a lot of times the harmony parts, or even like when there's an answering vocal, sometimes I just came up with that, so it was like kind of collaborative to some degree. But yeah, and harmonies, a lot of times they didn't know what. There were certain songwriters that are very perfectionist, and they'll already have all the harmony parts like figured out.
I see.
And they would even send me a chart, sheet music with it, with all the harmony parts written into it. But other people wouldn't. They would just have the melody and just let me do whatever popped in my head. And there was always a keyboard in the sound, in the vocal booth. So I could just run over parts in my head, run up whatever I came up with. And sometimes if I didn't know the chord changes or something, and they'd tell me the chord changes, and then I'd figure out something that worked, or just instead, kind of like that. So as far as the final, when the editing and all that stuff, I had nothing to do with it. I wasn't in the room. So they always did that another time, and then, so the only special case would be Circles, because that was my song. So
feels like I'm going around in circles. Feels like I'm spinning upside down. Feels like I'm going around in circles. Feels like I'm spinning upside down. But I know it's just you doing what you always do. But it's easy to see what you do to me.
And they make you do a lot of stuff when you actually write the music. That's why it's not that fun, because you have to send them stems, individual parts. You have to send them MIDI for the drums. You have to and then you have to, like, it went back and forth many times with, it doesn't have enough drums here, it's got to have more of this, it's, you know, and so there was a lot of fixing and nudging and changing things. And then when I wanted to use a song on my own album, they said it's okay, but it can't be the same mix. So that's why it sounds a little different. It's a really different version. And I had like 10 mixes of it, different versions with different guitars or different things in it. And my friend, when I first wrote the song, I thought I should submit this because it's kind of different from anything else I hear them using, and it seemed like they might like it. And I asked my friend, Hirayama Kuntsugu, he's a guitar player I've known for 30 years probably. And he came up with the guitar parts on that. And that helped too, because they liked his guitar work, and that helped them decide to use the song. So,
okay, awesome.
They're very, you know, they want instrumentalists the guitar people to feel like they're really playing a great guitar part. So that was important for the song almost as much as the vocal melody, things like that. And as far as drums, when I was doing the original song, I never would have put that many drum fills in it. I was like, drum fill city, but they told me it had to be lots of drum stuff. It's like, just go crazy on the drum fills.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, they were probably trying to balance the game aspect, it sounds like, because they wanted to make sure that the player playing along with your song would actually have something fun to do. I guess.
I understand, but it just, when I just listen to it, it sounds kind of goofy because it's like, it's like.
Tell you I don't know why. Feels like I could touch the sky. And it's easy to see what you do to me.
So my version doesn't have as many. I think it has less drum fills and stuff. The drums are probably not as loud in the mix either. So.
All right, so here's the big question, because this is constantly a topic about constantly online. People are arguing what announcer roles you have filled in for Konami games, and people say it's DDR, people say it's Guitar Freaks. I feel reasonably confident in saying that we know that you did a number of Guitar Freaks games
and Drum Mania. Yeah.
But do you recall specifically any games you did the announcing for?
No, except I know there were some Drum Manias and Guitar Freaks. I think there was at least one DDR and maybe a Beat Mania. What are the other? There's so many other games like that. Beat Mania.
So it was like Poppin' Music and Parallel.
I might have done it's very possible that I did a Poppin' Music.
Dance Maniacs. Dance
Maniacs. Yeah, there was just one period of time, like for a few years, when they hired me to do that, and then it was. I don't have a clue.
So sorry. Well, and it's fine because like I guess we'll never know, but it's just something that gets brought up all the time, and no one can seem to agree like who did what.
There's somebody else that did a lot of them that sounds a lot like me, actually. Because I heard him and I was like, wait, that's not me. It sort of sounds like me, but I don't think that's me.
I feel like the guy in fourth mix sometimes gets attributed to you, but I don't think that's you, because his voice sounds a bit more nasally. And it's not the same intonation as your voice. And that's why I was asking.
Right.
Okay.
And plus, the voice I would use in those could never be my normal talking voice, because they would always, after I'd kind of shout it out in a really high voice, like that, they would say more energy, more high, more shouty. So they wouldn't use the word shouty, but you know what I mean.
Right.
So I had to pretty much just like crank it up. I had to get sort of adrenaline up to say that. And then I'd always have a gig and have to sing that night, and my throat was just aching.
Be shot.
The singing never hurt my voice, but the shouting for the MC thing was actually painful. So I didn't really like doing it that much because of that. I enjoyed it while I was doing it, but afterwards I was always, oh man.
How did you land those duties in the first place? Like, how did you make the jump from music to announcer? Do you remember?
Oh, it wasn't a jump. It was just I recorded a song. I don't, for one of the drum manias or guitar freaks, and they said, "Oh, do you think you can just read these off and do this announcing for this game? That's it. We'll pay an extra $100." That's it. So that's the story.
Oh, there you go.
they did. So I'm like, I'm sure, why not? I can give it a try. And actually, it was really fun because I like, sort of voice acting and things like that. So I like imitating different accents, and some of the games there are something like that I had to do like sexy version and like all these are like all these different. Yeah, it was funny. They asked me to do all kinds of different versions. Like some of them are ridiculous. I don't think they used that, but
I guess they were trying to build up a library of things they could choose from.
I don't know.
So I have to ask, do you remember the phrase "select a music"? Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you remember what their reasoning was behind that?
Well, there were a lot of the phrases that sounded like Japanese English to me.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes I would say, "Don't you want to change it?" And they'd say, "No, we want it this way. This is what the players will understand," or whatever. So I think it's just that.
The purity of phrase.
Well, it does make sense in a way. Select a music, but it would be select a track or something usually. But they don't want to confuse their Japanese players probably with saying select a track.
Eventually, like 2008, I think, is then they changed it to select music. They got rid of the A.
Right, because they didn't feel it was specific enough, I think, because select just only one music. Like if you're selecting music, it could be several, right? So, but yeah, it could be select your music would have worked too. But select your song, I don't know.
Yeah, select
a lot of things. There were a bunch of other funny ones. So.
Yeah, I mean, we can't argue that it's not memorable because it's definitely something that people associate with the Guitar Freaks and Drum Mania games. But we were just wondering that grammatically, it's kind of like, okay.
There were other things though too. There were a bunch of things.
On that topic, then was UMA one that you had to say ever?
UMA, or
is that someone else?
No, I don't know what that is. UMA.
Okay, then that eliminates like DDR first through third or whatever, right?
Yeah, I'm sure I didn't announce first through third anyway because I didn't sing any songs until the third DDR, and it was probably if I'd announced for DDR, it was probably after that. Yeah,
that's why I assumed that it would have had to have been either fourth mix or fifth mix that you may have started announcing there. That window there.
Yeah.
Because Max was a completely different guy. Max on. DDR Max. Onward. Okay. This is just an out there question. Can you recall any lines that maybe didn't make it into the final games? Do you know enough of the reads?
Sorry, I wish I could. I should have taken him home and saved him. I didn't envision being interviewed about this stuff years later. No.
Okay. And this is a fun question. Like, once your track started appearing in the games, did you make any attempt to play the games and experience your music firsthand?
Oh yeah, I was real excited about it. So I went down to there was an arcade right near where I lived. I used to live in Asaka, which is north part of Osaka. And there was an arcade there, and they had a Drum Mania, Guitar Freaks, right by the doorway of right by the station, and it was always crowded with lots of people, and there were people playing the games. And I said, hey, play, I don't know, Depend on Me or play whatever song had just come out there. What are some other ones off that first one? Eyes of Kids. I can't think of the titles now. From the very first Drum Mania.
You had I Only Want to Be With You, which was a cover, The Virtual Insanity. And you had Depend on Me, Eyes of Kids.
Yeah, but that's later, though.
I Think About You. Or When I Dream of You that you did with Elizabeth Dobbs.
Yeah, I don't think I would have asked somebody to play that. That's almost embarrassing. But it was a good song. I just
what was embarrassing about it?
So Heaven is a 57 Metallic Gray was on there.
That was on the first one. Yeah. Okay. So that would have been one of the ones I probably would have somebody play.
I Think About You. Did you have a part in that? Did you?
Right, yeah. But I think I wrote Did I write the lyrics? No, I didn't. Gosh.
Yeah, I think about you. It says the lyrics were done by Big E, which I'm not sure.
Oh, it says you did backing vocals on I Think About You.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Elizabeth sang that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What am I? Oh, this is Libra. Where is the first bit? Oh, it doesn't tell. Let's see. Oh, see, it's got them all mixed up in here. It doesn't. Somewhere I've probably got an old CD from that first Drummania, but these are not in order. So.
Well, Depend on Me and Eyes of Kids were both on Drummania 1.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I remember
When I Dream of You?
When I Dream of You is that ballad.
Yeah.
We just mentioned that.
I wanted to ask you about it. Why did you say it was embarrassing? I'm interested.
Well, no, it wasn't embarrassing to do the song. It would have been kind of embarrassing at the
okay.
Game center. That would have been a song that I would ask some gamer to play.
I see. Okay. Since we're talking about songs, we can go into the individual song questions. We have a bunch of these, so we can lead off with John's. John specifically asked to add this question to the list. So
yeah, I really wanted to because this has been sort of a guilty pleasure of mine. What happened on Welcome to the Jungle?
What happened?
What happened? What's the story there?
Just they said, "Can you sing a Guns N' Roses tune?" And I was thinking, oh, please let it be Sweet Child of Mine, because I know I can sing that. It's like possible. And then they said I had to do Welcome to the Jungle. I was like, there is no way I can sing that. That is just, it's really fast and high and crazy. But I had to try. I never would turn something down, So I just tried as much as I could, just to get as close to that sound. And it's hard to sing that fast and in tune. That's all it is, really hard to keep the tune and not and it's high too. It's like really high, so you have to he sort of whine sings, and I try to use the same technique because that's the only way to get a strong sound way up there for me anyway. But I just, practiced it a bunch and went in that day and just did a few takes until they said it's okay. And that was it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I love hearing that because I don't know. Sometimes you sort of construct your own narrative, not knowing the story, and so it's just really cool to hear the process and what happened and who demanded what and all that, right?
Who ran that session? God, I can't remember. Probably could have been Ono that ran that session. Or possibly. It seemed like he was at the board a lot of times in the beginning days before he went to Tokyo. Yeah, it's like pretty much he was the guy at the board all the time. And then later it was Koizuka or...
It says recording engineer for that was Koizuka.
Oh, okay. Okay, well that's possible too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, right? This is probably just like the soundtrack credits.
Well, no, he was at Koizuka was at the board for a lot of songs. So I did a lot of songs with Koizuka. Also, not even there's Konami Sports. They have a bunch of sports gyms in Japan. I don't know if they have them in other countries or not.
No,
Do they have sports?
Well, not
Okay,
America.
Well, in Japan they have Konami Sports gyms, and they had these either bicycles or running machines or something that had like animations and music with them. And Koizuka wrote like 8 songs or something, and he hired me to sing all of them.
Oh wow!
And it was a nightmare because he. I'm sorry, it's so ridiculous. He sang them with pretend English that he chopped up. He chopped up his own voice somehow with this pretend English, and then he said, "Write lyrics, but make it sound like my pretend English." So it wasn't even anything that made any sense. It wasn't real English. It wasn't even real words. It was like, I don't know. It's like sounds like Arabic to me, but it's like come on, I love the man, and it's like just singing these, and they were complex songs. They were like almost like fusion-y, complicated songs. And so I had to just go through and try to sound sort of like him, and then came up with lyrics that rhymed and made sense. That went with that.
Following his cadence and his rhythm, and
and he hit me with like 8 songs like that, but I had a month or 2 to work on them, and I just every day I'd be just like struggling with, writing on the sheet music, just trying to fit the words in so that it made some kind of sense.
My goodness, that's insane.
Yeah, why did he do that? He didn't have to do that. He could have just written the melody, just let me pop out some lyrics, but instead it turned into this like songwriting nightmare. But luckily he didn't do that for the regular Konami songs. He just only did that for those
Interesting
gym songs.
Okay. All right, well, let's going back to songs that you've done for Konami. La Señorita.
Up the dance floor. Sitting in the corner with a coffee cup, reading the newspaper and looking up. She smiles and she finds something funny that the sunlight shining in her hair. When she leaves, you want to follow her anywhere. Dress is too tight, but you can't let her see you stare. And she's a hot one, and looking young. Ooh, la señorita, you never get close enough to la señorita.
You used your Captain T moniker on that one, and that was an
the reason for the monikers is because they told me my name was on too many songs.
Okay.
So they said, think of a different name. So I don't know where I came up with Captain T, just T for Thomas. So there's no deep history behind it. It was just people used to, when I was a teenager and stuff, people would call me something T. Like, if I was feeling fat, I was fat T, or if I was feeling proud, I was proud T, or whatever. So that was an easy nickname to come up with.
Okay. Well, that song was an homage to like Ricky Martin and Enrique Iglesias and all that. But I have a question.
Right.
I have a question about the lyrics. Jalapena.
Yeah.
I assume that was an artistic decision to rhyme with the previous word
instead of jalapeno.
Yeah. So
because the jalapeno, the ah sound, right? Yeah.
I just want to state for the record, I'm a Puerto Rican, and that's not a proper gendering of the word. However, I
artistic license.
Yeah, artistic license. But I will say that it seems like you have some proper Spanish pronunciation and all that. So did you study Spanish growing up or something like that?
No. Thank you, Google.
Nice.
Yeah, Google is good for certain things. Really good for that because not only can you find the word, but you can right away find usually a good pronunciation and just listen to it and repeat.
Okay. All right,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I lived in LA for a long time, so there were a lot of people speaking Spanish, so I heard a lot of it. So I had a, I've always enjoyed accents, so I sort of would try to, learn little phrases here and there.
Okay.
So,
And likewise, you did a song called Consuela.
Yesterday I saw her on the avenue. She was all dressed up in royal blue, like a movie star from 1952. She was a classic. I tipped my hat and winked at her as I walked by. My heart was still, my throat was dry. And in the corner of my eye, I saw her smile. Consuela, por favor, Consuela. One thing more, Consuela. I adore you.
I've been told it should have been Consuelo, but
Yeah. But well, no, Consuela can be a person's name. That's okay.
okay, so it's okay.
But in the meaning, if you were to say Consuelo, that would be like caring or along that line.
Oh, because when I searched also, I liked the sound of Consuela for the song. I didn't like the sound of Consuelo for the song. So
Sure.
when I searched, it was supposed to be a woman's name, not a meaning. So I guess it's okay.
Yeah. What you did a version for your own album, Digital Digits, in 2015.
That was the original version, actually. That was the song
okay.
when I first wrote it, and then Jamie, DJ Slash, as she was known then, it was did the remix for the version that ended up on DDR in America.
Cool. All right, well, that answers my question. Yeah, because we weren't sure if that was something that you had produced prior to its introduction in DDR. So, alrighty, cool.
Yeah. I wrote the song and then I sent it to Jamie, and Jamie said, "Yeah, this is good, but I think it should be more like this." And then he rearranged it so it sounded more like the feel of La Señorita, actually.
Right. Yeah.
is what he ended up doing. Yeah.
Yeah. There were some similarities in the composition there. So. All right, so a lot of your early work was in Drum Mania, and I assume that you worked closely with Jimmy Weckel, Harume Weckel. He was the producer. I think he was the producer of that game, and he contributed a lot of the soundtrack. Nowadays, I keep track of him on Facebook, and it seems like he's doing gigs with different folks and stuff like that. Do you still keep in contact with him at all?
No, I haven't really. Not since the last time we recorded a song. I haven't talked to him.
Were there any interesting stories of production with him that you maybe want to share?
He has a very dirty mind, and he likes to play practical jokes. Does everybody know that already?
No, we don't. But we would love to hear about it, though.
Well, his goal is to have the English lyrics have some sort of sexual meaning in Japanese. So they sound like something else in Japanese. And he actually requested me to put that in a song. In You'll Be a Man, the whole reason that title exists is because of the sound of man, which is, I don't know if I should say this. It's man is the first part of.
Yep, I know exactly. Where
refers to female anatomy, and that was the closest I could get. It was really hard to get lyrics that would say what he wanted it to say. So I wanted to help him. I was trying to help out, best I could. But. not always easy to get a double joke like that in your lyrics.
It's hilarious because the lyrics are
Japanese
about
people
like
know. Japanese people know game fans know about him. He's famous for doing this. He's done this lots of times in Japanese. He's got like weird ways that he got like sexual innuendos and double meanings and. But he's actually an amazing musician, though. If you see him play live, I mean, his piano playing, he can play circles around almost anybody I've seen. He's just an amazing piano player. And, he plays all the other instruments really well, too. Sax and, I don't know, guitar, everything. He's just a monster musician, so...
Yeah, that's good.
Weird sense of humor. So.
It seems to be the case with creative people. They have interesting ways of thinking about things. So.
Yeah, he loved soul music, soul and funk, and and fusion, and he would infuse that in music, which most of the other staff writers for Konami weren't doing stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like having Chick Corea on the staff or something. It's kind of wild.
Oh, that's high praise.
Yeah. Well, Chick Corea is on another level from most humans, but
okay, awesome. All right, okay, John.
Awesome. Yes, I got this one.
Okay.
So, what was it like working with Hideyuki Ono? I know you mentioned that he was at the board quite a bit, so it seems like you've worked with him quite a bit.
Yeah, in the beginning, because he left for Tokyo. So, I think he plays trombone, trumpet. He plays horns, and so he did all that horn stuff on Heaven Is a 57, and really that was great. And I think his Midnight Special was one of his songs. He did all there. That's got horns on it too. The ska and he has a lot of interesting, musically interesting. He's just always seemed like a really happy-go-lucky, like lighthearted kind of guy when I knew him. So I haven't seen him in years, but yeah.
So speaking of that horn-centric sort of jazzy sound, I guess, so you had that Sweet Little 30s moniker that you had with songs with him, like Heaven Is a 57 Metallic Ray and also Fireball. So what was the inspiration for the sound of those?
That was all them, and the name. That's all. I just came and wrote lyrics and sang, and tried to fit my lyrics in the style of the songs they presented. And I didn't know it was going to be called Sweet Little 30s. I don't know where that came from. It doesn't sound like 30s music.
I know.
Glenn Miller. I guess there's a hint of that in there. Some of it with the horn section, but.
But I know you also did You did write some lyrics for some great Taiko songs like "Helpless."
Taiko was a friend of my friend, the guitar player that I worked with, and I actually introduced her to Konami.
Oh, interesting.
That is awesome.
And not because they didn't specially ask me. I think I just heard her sing, and I thought we did like this Christmas gig together, the three of us, like a concert, and for some kind of event, and she was a good singer, so I said, you guys should use her if you want, and they seemed to really, they liked her a lot and used her. So I don't remember much about the lyrics from Helpless. I don't remember how the song goes. I haven't listened to it for so long. Trying to think if I was at the session when we recorded that. I might have been. Can't remember.
That's so cool. Yeah, that version had two. It had a long version and a original version. So it's a very good song. It's one. I think most Taiko songs are pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, so. I'm with you on that. So actually, a lot of these questions we've already answered throughout our talk earlier, so I can just hop to. So I know on Fireball and on Rock in Paradise, you have these like sort of spoken intros. Is that all like just improvised or something on the fly?
Improvised, and unfortunately, I can't understand what I said either a lot of the time. Like I wasn't trying to make it so you couldn't understand. It's just I was going really fast and in a funny voice, and it is hard to understand. But
It's incredible.
Double Trouble, I think you can pretty much understand everything I said. That one's a little easier. Yeah, I just like went all wacky and Fireball. And
John was specifically wondering about Rock in Paradise.
Rock in Paradise.
Yeah, the one all I remember is it ends with "fall into the ocean."
It was totally just like no drugs were involved, but I just let my subconscious. I just like freeformed it and just Well, that's the way I songwrite a lot of times. Just like I'll just say or sing whatever comes and pops in my head, and just go with it. If I don't like it, then I'll try again. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's weird once you sort of tap into your subconscious, and then you don't know what's going to come out. But that's fun and exciting sometimes, or it's a disaster. But it's just the risk. It's the risk you take.
Okay. All right. Well, Midnight Special. That's ostensibly it's about carrying a concealed weapon.
That is why always having you carry on midnight special. Never leave, but without it, always better with a midnight special. In the car, on the street, never know who you're gonna meet. No problem, you got a midnight special.
So, did Konami not have any objections to the subject matter, considering Japan's history?
I don't think they might not have actually understood it, or I think I explained it. It's like I just sort of imagined a scene from a movie. But they've got lots of movies where they got gunplay and carrying guns and all kinds of stuff like that here. So I don't think it's. I guess you could take it as a song about reality or something, but I wasn't thinking like that. I was just like imagining like a situation from a detective movie or
something like that. Okay. And did Konami encourage you to put on that English accent, or was that like a reaction to the ska theming of the tune?
That was, I think I tried it both ways, and I asked them which one they liked. It was my idea to do it, but I had a feeling like I would sound better. Just it would fit the song, and my voice would sound better like that, and it seemed to. So then they seemed to like it better. So then I did a few. Say What You Mean. I did a sort of a British accent.
Why don't you say it right to my face then? That you want to be more than just friends. Come on now, then say what you mean. Life isn't fair and love isn't clean. I don't care how lonely you've been. Open your mouth and say what you mean.
I can sort of pull off a generic British accent pretty well. Like no one could tell what part of England it was from because I can't differentiate them well enough to be able to do that. But an English guy told me about my English accents were pretty convincing. So
okay,
better than the Scottish. And,
well, next song, "Depend on Me," and that seemed like a pretty big collaboration. You've got Koetsuka on bass, Weko on piano, Naoki playing piano, and obviously you as the singer. So what was the process of creating this song with so many of the top people?
The song was written by Sakurai, Toshio Sakurai, and that was. He said he wrote that song specifically like for my voice, from what he thought it would be easy for me to sing, and it would be just like right in the right range and just like kind of come naturally to me. So, and it did. It was, and it was easy to write lyrics too. They just like popped out really fast, 5 minutes or something. So.
Oh, that's great.
I had to listen to the melody, and it just sounded like what it. Sometimes melodies just sound like the words that fit them. You can depend on me. It's just it's like.
You even I feel like I found footage of you performing that at like a live concert thing. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, that was that was probably the best concert I've ever been involved in, because as far as feeling like it was a big thing, because there were at least 1,000 people, I don't know, and they were all singing along with me, and there were Japanese people. They were singing my English lyrics along with me, so that was like really felt good. Because in Japan, I sing my songs and nobody understands them, and that's the daily thing for year after year. So I'm used to that. But having all these Japanese kids just singing my lyrics back to me is really satisfying.
That's cool. And do you? So the band, the band is credited as AMSD. Do you know if that stood for anything, or?
AMSD?
AMSD band is the artist.
For what?
For Depend on Me.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember that. That's a new one for me. AMSD. Attack. No, I was thinking the controls on a synthesizer, but that's not right.
AMSD band. Is Thomas Howard with the AMSD band?
Oh. That means something, but I don't know. Got me.
Well, if you remember, you can always tell me.
Sakurai is the S.
M is Maeda.
Maeda. A. Great. D, you said at the end?
Mm-hmm.
D. I don't know. I'm just reaching for. Just reaching here. I don't know.
Well, it's fine. I mean, if you can't recall, it was something that stuck out, and we weren't. I don't think there was another credit to that band ever again.
Oh, yeah, AMSD band. Huh. No, I don't know.
All right, and and I think we covered that one pretty good. You gave us some good information there. Mr. Magic.
Mr. Man saves the day. Dr. Evil runs away. All of the people so able to never hey, Mr. Magic, you're a hero.
I feel like that song doesn't get a whole lot of appreciation.
Isn't that a Jimmy Weckl song? Or is that a Koizuka song? Mr. Magic. Mr. Magic.
It was Koizuka.
Oh, it was Koizuka. Okay.
So
Yue was recording engineer, but it was composed by Koizuka.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, and you were credited for the lyrics. So I have two specific questions about that one. Dr. Evil, was that supposed to be a reference to Austin Powers?
I don't think so. What year was that? Was Austin Powers already out?
Yeah, I think so. It came out earlier in the year.
See, I didn't see Austin Powers till like 5 or 10 years later on video.
Oh, wow.
I didn't see it in the theater when it came out. I thought it looked really stupid, and I wouldn't like it, is what I thought about Austin Powers when I first saw the ads and stuff for it. So I didn't go see it, and I didn't think I ever would. And then for some reason I was at the video. That was back when I would always rent videos, and I was at the Tsutaya video shop, and there was like nothing good to rent, and I thought, I'll just try this. It can't be that bad. And I really liked it, actually. I watched all those movies.
Awesome.
Yeah, I loved the Austin Powers movies, but I didn't think I would like it. So, yeah, the Dr. Evil was just, I just wanted to say, it popped into my head, Mr. Magic saves the day. Well, why does he have to save the day? There must be somebody bad doing something. So it's Dr. Evil runs away. I hadn't seen the movie, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, the lyrics seem to end kind of like on a mysterious note, mentioning like a hospital room and coming back to reality. Is there like a deeper subtext to the song lyrics?
Oh wow! When you come, what was I smoking? When you come back down and face reality, insanity. Mr. Magic is Dr. Evil runs bye. This hospital room is dark and gray till Mr. Magic saves the day.
I mean, it seems kind of like dire.
It sounds like Mr. Magic is like magic mushrooms or something.
Okay.
So I'm in the dark gray hospital room, and Dr. Evil is this like insanity that's attacking me, right? And then the magic mushrooms make it all bright again.
That's a spin I did not realize.
Yeah, but I don't know if I was thinking that. Usually my lyrics are just like stream of consciousness, so maybe, who knows?
Okay.
I did, like, the second verse is where I had to think, right?
All right.
Right, and in your mind, you're like a superhero, just up and fly away. So that's the part where my logical mind came up with lyrics. The first two sets were just came out from my subconscious. That's the way it always works. And then that last ending part, who knows? That could be a mix of both.
Yeah, it struck me as kind of like is this guy imagining being a superhero and maybe he's like dying or something? Like,
oh yeah, it could yeah, that is kind of vague and
ominous
sinister.
Almost.
Yeah, yeah. I like stuff like that, but
cool. Did you want to take this next question, John? It's about Susie and the Time Machine.
Yeah, sure. So I guess we were talking about Susie and the Time Machine a little bit earlier. Did you write the narrative of the song before finishing the lyrics, or was it, as you said, sort of stream of consciousness?
That song is totally thought out. That's like not. I think they might have even had some kind of. He told me what it should be about vaguely or something, and then I like really just came up with this time machine story. Let's see. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was, and it had to be a time machine story, so it was kind of like, Back to the Future kind of thing, but I wanted it to be different, and the melody's weird, and that's why I end up with this red button says release safety switch, because like the melody's like jerky and weird. It was hard to think of to make things rhyme, and I don't always try to rhyme, but quite a bit I tend to naturally try to make things rhyme.
So, what did you picture the time machine being? Exactly?
I'll go back to before she even knew me. I like that line a lot. I'll go back to before she even knew me. And then I'm talking to her back before she knew me, and then, yeah. It's a pretty silly song, actually.
It's awesome. I mean, you can say it's silly. It's one of my favorites. I really do love it.
At least it tells a story. The story kind of goes whack at the end, but
that's a great part too, though.
Yeah,
getting in the time machine and doing a about face.
It sort of ends on a high note, like hopeful.
Yeah, and that's all there is to this song.
So what did you picture the time machine being exactly when you wrote the song?
I don't know, just like this big machine with buttons on it, I guess. That's yeah, which is not the way a time machine is usually pictured, but this just has buttons. Yeah, like I might have been imagining sitting in the DeLorean, or something like that too.
Was there a reason that you chose the name Susie?
Huh. I don't know. It's probably sung well with the melody. You know, Susie. It's just like it's got a sharp sound to it. And I also had an aunt named Susie, so I sort of like the name.
Cool. Awesome.
Okay. Out of Breath. That's an inspiring song to me. It was Toshio Sakurai's last song before he left Konami. You've already kind of mentioned previously, like, stories of working with him and all that. Do you keep in contact with him at all?
Well, yeah. Recently, how long ago was it now? 6 months ago? 9 months ago? I'm trying to think. He came to visit me, and we shot some photos, and we worked on a song together. And he wrote a song, and I wrote the lyrics, and then I sang it, and it's really sounds like something that would have been in Drum Mania back in the day. It's called Stratosphere. Yeah.
'Cause they know what this is all about. They're trying to let us know. We gotta get out and stop the show. Raise your hands up to the sky. Let us take you for a ride. Rocking through the stratosphere. We're never coming down. Never ever let you down. Move your body to the side.
Otherwise, I just wanted to highlight how nice the song was, because it's one of my favorite tunes.
Wait, we were talking about what now?
Out of Breath.
Which song? Oh, Out of Breath.
Oh, Out of Breath.
Yeah, that song. That just the way it builds, and it just felt like that to me. I think that's one of the songs that I wrote the lyrics in just like moments. It just came out so fast, and it fit so perfect. I was like, wow. Like shocked myself at how it just worked so great. So some ballad for you like that I was like that too. Just I wrote it so fast I couldn't I just got it. I can't send it to him now. He's gonna think he's not gonna take this seriously because I wrote it in 5 minutes. But that was the real case. I would like wait till the next day or something and send it because I don't want them to think I'm just tossing these things off like it's. Like what are they paying me for? You did this in 5 minutes. So that was the same thing with Out of Breath. It's just like, I'm done. Wow, this is perfect. I can't even change it. I couldn't. There's nothing I could do to it because it just felt perfect. So
yeah, I appreciate the little pause you do at the end, like right before you say I can almost taste it. And it's like for some reason like that resonates with me. The lyrics.
Taste it.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool break that makes it memorable to me.
Yeah. Well, that was the way he wrote the song. I mean, he's pretty exacting about every way he wants it to be. As far as even though he doesn't have lyrics, but he knows exactly what he wants the melody to feel like and sound like. So he's really good at that.
Cool.
And then I was lucky. I was able to just have lyrics that just sort of. To me, the lyrics have to hug the melody the right way. That's almost more important than anything else. That melding of the two, then it's like, this is good. It's, at least that's been my experience.
All right, we're shifting gears here. We mentioned Virtual Mind previously, and we talked about the Matrix inspiration. We had one more question. Who is Brian Morris?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know Brian Morris. Sorry.
He's credited on the song.
Did he do the remix, or did he? I think Brian Morris did the remix, maybe, because there was one first version and then the one that came out on. What was that on Beat Maniacs?
So there's one on Dance Maniacs.
Dance Maniacs.
That was the original, and then they ported it to Beat Mania 2DX. That's what.
And it was
posters.
A different remix, right? It wasn't.
So the song is credited as it is artist Brian Morris featuring Thomas, and obviously you did the rhymes and all that.
Yeah.
But it's weird because the composition is someone else. It's Kazuhiro Seno.
Oh, Seno, yeah.
We don't know who Brian Morris is. we
I don't know
suspect
who Brian Morse is either.
we suspect it's not a real person. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, that's very possible because just Senno and me did the song. So, I mean, I don't know if he had other people helping him with the music or not, but yeah, we went in the studio and he had the music track. So,
Okay.
I don't know if Brian Morse is a real person. It sounds like a singer.
I mean, it would be ironically like appropriate considering it's about the Matrix and internet and all that stuff, and maybe an assumed identity or something.
Oh, maybe.
And one of our listeners was asking, "Are you still living life on the X and Y axis?"
Yeah, well, this song was not supposed to be autobiographical. It was about a robot, really, and their experience or it was like a consciousness or an AI or a human consciousness that had been put up into the internet or something and lived in the virtual world or something. So it wasn't supposed to actually be about me.
You were ahead of the Wachowskis in that regard. It seems like they stole the idea from you.
Yeah, except their movie came out right the same week that I was writing these lyrics. So I guess we were all thinking about those. It was, what do they call that? There's a German word or something for that. Zeitgeist. It was in the zeitgeist.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Enlightening. That's very insightful. Did you want to take this next question, John?
Sure. So, speaking of 2DX, since Virtual 9 got ported over, so Ballad for You is the only original song you produced for that game. Naoki is credited for composing the tune, but you wrote the lyrics. Was this addressed to anyone in particular, or did you have anyone in mind?
No, really, it was like I said, inspired by that.
You mentioned the clown.
Yeah.
Tears of a Clown.
Yeah.
What's his name? No, I forgot his name. I just said it.
Smokey Robinson?
Smokey, right? Yeah, Smokey. It was just I listened to the music and it was really like had this nice sort of soft ballad, emotional feel, and then I just went to that place and came up with that idea. So
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't, and it's not really autobiographical. I'm not a guy who's the loneliest guy on the inside and smiling on the outside. If I'm lonely, it looks like it on the outside too. And if I'm smiling, I'm probably smiling on the inside too. So, but that's a nice character for a song.
Sure. All right. You might as well take the next one, John, since you said you're a fan of this one.
Sure. So, on the topic of Wall Street Downsizer, it's one of my favorites. A very memorable song. I mean, you said it's very silly, and I love it. We love it. It's still in the game. It's fantastic. So what was the inspiration for this tune? Some people are thinking it's inspired by the 1997 Ben Folds 5 album, Whatever and Ever Amen song, One Angry Dwarf and 200 Sold Faces.
Wow, definitely not. I don't even know that song. I've only heard like the sort of major Ben Folds. I've clicked on some of his videos. I like some of his songs, but no, at that time I hadn't even really heard much of anything from Ben Folds 5. I wasn't that conscious of them. I think it was more influenced probably by some 80s what's his name, Canadian actor from Back to the Future. What's his name?
Michael J. Fox?
Michael J. Fox, yeah. See, I'm getting old. Michael J. Fox movie from the 80s. There's I can't remember the titles of all his 80s movies, but there was like something about Wall Street. He had a Wall Street movie, and I think that was what I was like sort of vaguely remembering when I wrote this lyric. If that makes any sense.
All right, cool.
The secret of my success?
Yeah, probably that. Wall Street Down, something like that. And I watched lots of documentaries about Wall Street and about Bain Capital and predatory predatory companies and companies that buy out other companies and then destroy them and things like that. So
I have to ask, how did you think up the name Mr. Snorgy Winkle?
I don't know. Yo, little buddy, what's this? Sitting down in the chat. I'm sorry, Mr. Snorgy Winkle. I'll stand up right away, sir. What, on my tiptoes? Where are you putting that clamp? Not there. Oh, yeah, that's boy. I don't remember even writing that, but I'm sure I was laughing my ass off when I wrote it.
Yeah, that's we love that one. That's great. All right. So how does it feel to have created the most memorable Christmas song in all of rhythm gaming? We're of course talking about Silent Hill.
Show me your hottest move. Lights on the avenue, passing so far away. I'm up here drinking a toast to you. It's such a special day. Nightfall.
Yeah, that was fun. It was like a kind of a mix between Yamashita Tatsuro, who wrote the song Christmas Eve. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's a perennial Christmas song here in Japan. And they've got an English version and a Japanese version. It's a mix of that and then Last Christmas by Wham.
Right, yeah.
It's it's sort of the music is like a mixture of those two. And I try to, sort of get in that kind of mental space when I wrote the lyrics and sang it. So, with a game song, you don't really feel like you're writing a big hit. So it's just, I'm glad people liked it though. I liked it. It came out nice and it's fun to sing. I guess that's all.
Well, how is it like working with Naoki in general? We haven't really talked much about him.
Oh, he is really fun to work with. He's like, when you're in the studio, like in Ballad for You, I would keep layering more vocal parts and just ad-libbing, and he just say, "Go for it, do it more, I like it, more." He's like he's just so into it. And he's so positive. It's extremely fun recording with him. He's like the most fun person to record songs with. So it was the same thing with Silent Hill. Although the title was supposed to be something like "Christmas is Here," I think that was the title I submitted.
Well, yeah, I think it's the last lyric you say before the song ends. Christmas is here.
And they said, we want a title without the word Christmas in it. And I said, okay. And then they said, we're going to come up with the title. And that was the last I heard of it.
Oh, they came up with the title?
Yeah, nothing to do with me. I never would have associated Silent Hill with that song.
Interesting. Yeah. Because, Konami made a horror game called Silent Hill. I'm sure.
Right. I found out about that later. And I didn't know why they called it Silent Hill, but it's sort of an epic-sounding title, but I didn't know. And then I found out about the game. I've never played the horror game.
Oh, it's got nothing to do with Christmas. Have you ever worked with Akira Yamaoka at all?
I don't think so.
He worked for Konami for a while. He composed music, but he worked on the soundtrack for Silent Hill. He also contributed to Bemani as well, but he has a very specific sound. Sometimes it's grunge rock, sometimes techno stuff, dark synth techno, and like Silent Hill is not about happiness or Christmas or nothing. It's about a man losing his family, and it's all sorts of dark themes. So like the juxtaposition between your contribution and like,
is it like John Wick or something kind of a
thing?
No,
it's like it's horror, so it's like a man gets lost in a town. Think like Twin Peaks, like very dreamy monsters. Creepy. Yeah, creepy setting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's sort of how I imagined it would be. I just never played the game. So. Wonder why they still can't figure out why they decided to call that song that.
Yeah, that's probably the most shocking revelation of the interview so far. I had no idea that they named it. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was cut out of that whole conversation. So.
Did you want to do this one, John?
We're at Saturday Picnic in the Park.
Yeah, I think Zanzibar asked
All
about
right.
this one.
EIP.
Yeah, he did. All right, so.
It's gonna be alright. Auntie Jane, Auntie Jane, these are lovely kidney pies. Uncle Jim, look at him. This is really a surprise.
So for Saturday Picnic in the Park, SPIP, it's been revealed that your children provided their voices for that song. So were there any other projects or music that they've been featured in?
On my albums, as they were growing up, I would have them sing like one song per album a lot of times on my own album, not in Konami or things. Yeah, they just wanted little kids talking, and I recorded them at home, I think, for that, and just sent it to them.
How old were they at the time?
I'm guessing around 5 years old, probably.
Were Auntie Jane and Uncle Jim based on real people?
No, that was just
needed them for a rhyme.
pulled it out of my, just.
Nah.
Well, all my friends play DDR, but I sing about my PPR. You were credited for singing, or rather, I'm sorry, for writing the lyrics to "Silly Girl" and PPR, and "Rest in Peace, Handsome Jet," of course. Did you ever get a chance to work on them directly, like work with them directly, or did you just provide the lyrics?
I only met Handsome Jet. I don't remember his real name. I only met him once, and that was we did a concert in. That was in Tokyo. It was another concert we did in Konami concert, and he sang that song at that concert. And he told me, in his songs he has to scream a lot, right?
Yeah, he's very high, na type.
Right, and I asked him if he's just naturally that way, if he likes singing like that. He said no, it's like hell. He hates it.
Wait, what?
It's really hard and hurts. So, because I was thinking, man, that must be so hard to sing like that, but he makes it sound like it's just natural. But
that's actually kind of. I mean, yeah, he's made a persona around that type of.
Oh yeah,
singing. So it's like.
Yeah, he said he had to make himself do that. So.
I guess that kind of makes sense then, because just before he died, he had that album that came out that was a lot more folk. And a lot more mellow voiced. Yeah, that was probably what he liked, actually. Oh well. Hope nobody's too disappointed if they're fans and that it wasn't like his favorite way to sing. But
and so and we were wondering how this may have been just a stream of consciousness thing, but the Pastial Paradise Rapture, like what were you thinking with that lyric?
I was not thinking anything. They just said it had to be PPR was the title. So I just like, God, what are you going to say? PPR. It's like, I got nothing. So I just came up with some words and tried to make it make sense in whatever way I could. That's another one of those where I had to use my logical brain to like somehow make something work, you know. So
ostensibly, what you're telling me is they made up the acronym before figuring out what the meaning was. Okay.
Yeah. They sent me the song and they said, "And here's the title," and I'm like, "Huh?" There's some reason for PPR. I don't know what it has to do with it.
Interesting.
They didn't explain it. They just said that's the title. So please make the lyrics mean something.
Make it work.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So in our previous interview, we did that with Brad Holmes. He performed "Let Me Go," which, as far as we know, is the last song that was contributed to Konami, and you were the lyricist. Apparently, you were the credited lyricist during.
"Let Me Go."
Yeah, it was on V6.
Wow.
Did you ever speak to Brad at all, or did you ever get a chance to meet him? He's originally from Australia. He did a number of Guitar Freak songs. He worked with Izumi and all that. I think the song is
I do remember this. I remember this lyric now. See it. I don't remember writing it, but I do remember the lyric. I mean, I can remember that I came up with this. This looks like a lyric of mine, but it's so short. I think it was, it was like one of those things I did in a really few minutes and just sent him. That was it. I'm pretty sure I never met him. Is he like a really strong rock singer? Like a pretty powerful voice?
He's got a lot of rock songs. He does rock music, performs in Tokyo.
High range, and really he's got because when I did that Konami concert, I had to sing. He couldn't be there, and I had to sing one of his songs, and that was terrifying. I was really nervous about it because it was just so high and powerful, and I didn't know if I could pull it off.
Was it something like "Used to Rock and Roll" or?
Dude, what song was it? I can't remember. I just remember it was so rough that I had to scream my way through it.
Oh my goodness.
I just screamed. I mean, I just screamed in tune as best I could. And when it was done, my voice was just shot. And I asked them if it was okay. And they said, yeah, it was great. So I was like, wow. There's no way I could do a concert every day like that, though. Sometimes you just do what you gotta do, I guess.
Are you possibly thinking about Kevin Vecchione, like "Fire in the Dark" or something like that? Because that sounds very screamy.
It could be that guy, Kevin Vecchione. That name is familiar. I had never met him either, I don't think. But
because I could definitely see you having to scream your way through those songs. That the way he sings.
It was it wasn't a metal song or something. It was just a straight ahead rock song, but it was. Really up there in the range and had to be powerful. So,
yeah, Brad Holmes' most famous song is probably "Used to Rock and Roll," and he did that for a Guitato Live in 2008, I believe it was.
Yeah, 2008.
But okay, well then that's interesting. Yeah, we asked Brad about you, and I don't think he's ever met you, so I guess it makes sense because it doesn't seem like you ever cross paths with him.
Was he probably based in Tokyo or something?
Yeah, he's in Tokyo.
Yeah. So I only went to Tokyo for the concerts. They didn't send me there for recordings. So.
Okay. Awesome. So egocentricity.
Well, I've taken everything that you've given me, and I don't know if I can go on. Now I don't mean to impugn your integrity, but I sense some kind of obfuscation. You love to be understood.
sounds like something from the 80s. I described it as like a long-lost team-based sci-fi rom-com. I don't know. That might be a little bit too descriptive. But anyway, it says that you did this song in collaboration with Shocho. Do you remember him, by any chance? That's his
I remember doing it, but I can't remember his face right now. I can't place his face. Wait, what's his name?
Shigeharu Saiki. He has glasses.
Shigeharu. Oh, okay. Shigeharu. I'm sorry. You have a nickname that you call him? I never called him.
Shocho is one of his performer names.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And Shigeharu. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He told me, I think when he sent me the song, that he wants an 80s kind of a thing, and so we were sort of thinking in that same vein from the beginning. He was trying to get really an 80s vibe. I like the fact that I used the word obfuscation, which is hard for me to say. There's another song of mine on one of my albums, I think, that has the word obfuscation in it too. That's only like Sting would be one of the few pop songwriters who would use a word like that in a song.
Yeah, it's a good word. We down here we call it a $5 word.
$5. And I've also got synchronicity in this, which is a sort of a nod to Sting too. So
was this song any different in production? Because Shocho is known for his he uses like a lot of unique sounding like electrical synths and stuff like that. So he's got a different sound from the previous composers at Konami. Would you say it was different, or was it similar to your other jobs that you did with them?
Well, it really had that 80s vibe. So yeah, a little different, I guess. Yeah, it was. I couldn't even hum the tune for you right now if I can't. It's not in the.
The bass line is usually what I think of, the bong bang bong bang bong, but that funky bass line that goes along with it.
There you go.
And this is kind of just a silly question, but do you know if Shocho is a fan of Weird Science? That's kind of the vibes I get from it.
You mean Thomas Dolby? Oh no, that's She Blinded Me with Science. Weird Science, the movie.
Yeah,
the movie Weird.
I get Weird Science vibes from Egocentricity sometimes.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't have to answer that. It's fine. It was just a silly question.
Was that used in DDR or no? Was that used in Drum Mania?
It's Guitar Freak's Drum Mania XG.
Oh,
like 2010. Was
it already called Guitadora by that time?
No, it was before they had like, I mean, colloquially it was always called Guitadora, but like before it became officially called Guitadora, it was just before it was officially renamed.
Oh, I wonder why they officially did. I guess that's just because the main market is the Japanese market. Because Americans must hear that word Guitadora. What the heck is that? Right?
Yeah, if they're not familiar with Japanese and how things get abbreviated, yeah, it would be confusing for them.
I still refer to it as Guitar Freak's Drum Mania, personally, just because that's what I'm so used to, All right, okay. Well, Circles. Circles was a watershed moment for you, and it marked the first time you composed a song all by yourself and you presented it to Konami as a license. So, first question is, did Konami ask you for an original song, or did you present it to them as an option? We're like, hey, I got this song.
Mm-hmm. I was bugging them all the time.
Oh, were you?
What about this song? This one would work. Hey, try this. Yeah, and I was always bugging them. I was like, maybe. It's pretty good. No. So, that's what was going on.
So Circles was the first time they
I was fairly shocked when they said okay for Circles, even though I thought it would be good. But yeah.
Okay. And I think we kind of touched upon this previously, but you mentioned that like the album version from Even More Now sounds a bit different for GFDM, and you said it's because they were specifically requested like a different mix for it.
Yeah, and they did a lot of things like after I sent all the individual tracks, Izumi, he had an analog mixer with outboard gear, and he ran each of my tracks through a channel, and he remixed it to make it sound. I can't tell, but I guess it sounds different, better, maybe.
No, he switched up the percussion, and I mean they're basically the same song. I think your version's a little bit longer. I mean, he may have trimmed it down a little bit, and then switched up the percussion a bit.
The percussion. I did.
I'm sorry. You said you did the percussion?
Yeah, I did both the versions of. I did all the versions of percussion.
I see. Okay. And so then they picked and chose is what
he just remixed it. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Cool.
He asked me to keep adding more drums a bunch of times, and then finally he was satisfied.
Yeah. He's a fan of drums.
Well, for the game, so that the game would have enough.
Right. He's notorious for making one of the. Well, he's made a lot of difficult songs, higher level songs, but Daydream to this day is one of his compositions, and it's like notorious for having some of the most ridiculous drum patterns, guitar patterns. It's crazy. People, I don't know how familiar you are with this, but some people, normally the game you play with 2 drumsticks, right? Because that song in particular, Daydream, has so much crash cymbal, certain players play with 3 sticks, and they hold 2 in one hand and hit the cymbal from top and bottom to sort of keep the tempo of the song because it's so fast while they're still doing rolls and toms with their other hand.
Wow, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Izumi's over the top. And speaking of Izumi, he's one of the original. I wrote Big Man in Campus, but he's been there with Konami since. I don't know. How early do you think, John, he's been with Konami?
At least 87. He's got credits on Metal Gear for MSX.
Yeah, he was one of the first people I met there.
And he's still there, coincidentally. Yeah. So he's contributed a ton of music. And you've done.
I did that song with him last year. So.
Well, okay. So we were about to ask for that Conquistador. Was that a recent production? Okay. And it was made specifically for Gitadora?
I guess so. He called me and asked me if I'd come and if I thought I could sing another crazy high song like what was the other one I did for him? Primal Soul.
Yes. And it is very much like Primal Soul. It's great.
It is, but it was more difficult to sing and weirder. Primal Soul was more melodic and straightforward compared to that. Even in Primal Soul was really fast and high and not my normal type of song to try. But yeah, that Conquistador was really difficult and to be honest, it was too high. And we lowered it a half step because I couldn't even sing it. I was trying, but it just sounded kind of painful. So, and then after we lowered a half step, then it was okay. So it's still pretty high, but
interesting. Yeah. The reason why we ask is because sometimes Konami has in the past taken songs out of the archives, so to speak, things that they may have accepted and held on to and didn't use right away. And so we were wondering, was this in
Oh, it
fact
could have
something
been.
new?
I have no idea. Yeah, only he knows about that. That could have been something he had sitting around, or they had sitting around with. They never did a vocal version, so
I see. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well, cool.
fairly.
So, after such a long hiatus, like, how much was it different to work with that track today compared to some of your earlier work, or was it pretty much what you were used to?
Yeah, it was the same thing. That was just a really hard song. It was just one of the hardest ones I've had to do.
Okay.
The melody is just not easy. It's a kind of unusual melody. It's not. You can't really hum it as you walk down the street.
Right. Do you have any interesting production stories with Izumi, or anything you'd be willing to share with us?
Well, Primal Soul was. I had watched, I think, Interview with a Vampire. That Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt movie, and there's a lot of blood in that movie. It's just like a lot of blood, and I don't think I got through the whole thing. I watched like 2/3 of it or something, and I just kind of was sick of it. And like it was kind of interesting and good in a way, but then it was like so much blood, and I was like, I'm just tired of this. But it was really in my mind, and it was like the next day or something they sent me that song to write lyrics for. Or they had sent it, and I'd had it for a few days, and I hadn't really given it a try yet. And that song was fresh in my mind, and I wrote the lyrics from the point of view of the vampire. And the words were a little more horrific when I first did the lyrics. Like instead of tears fall like rain, it was blood falls like rain, and things like that. There were a bunch of words that were kind of in the horror genre. And when I came to record the vocal, he said he was hoping for me to write a love song. Instead, I wrote this horror lyric, and he said, he thought his melody was beautiful, and it would be to make a nice love song. And I'm like, oh, sorry, let's kind of tone it down. So I changed it to tears and a few other things, and I made it so that but somehow that music and that like Primal Soul, that that sort of story that it's in, it just fits to me really well. So I really like the way it turned out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But when you heard the lyrics, did you understand that was what it was about?
Like the part that sticks to me the most is the very ending, like "always in you forever." That gets stuck in my head because it's repeated so many times.
Yeah.
I never thought about vampires though, but although like I'm looking at the lyrics now and "free me from this curse" and all that, fight it while you can. I could see where you may have been inspired by.
How could you take her? How could you take her life? Isn't it? Let's see. I'm trying to remember now myself. Where is Primal Soul? It's hard to find.
How could you waste her life? And
how could you waste her life? Yeah.
And now you know the truth is you'll ever be satisfied. Nothing can change what you are.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess if you didn't know if it was about I didn't want it to be too obvious that it was a vampire or something either. Especially because he didn't even like that idea for the song.
Yeah, it's got sort of like an Aztec-y, Spanish almost Latin feel to the rhythm and all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like it'd be separate from the what you typically associate with vampires, Were there any other compositions or lyrics that you wanted to get into the game that never panned out?
I didn't try to get any lyrics into the game. As I mentioned, I did. I submitted Consuela to Konami in Japan first. And they just, I played it for Izumi, and he said, yeah, it's good, but he didn't say, okay, let's use it or something like that. And then it only ended up getting in the American Dance Dance Revolution through DJ Slash, right? So, that was one of the songs I had a bunch. I've got a bunch of up-tempo songs that I wrote. If you see on my albums, every once in a while, there's a song that's only like a minute and a half long, and that's one of those because I wrote it.
So you hear that, people? Go check out Thomas's album so you can hear potentially unreleased music game-sized tunes.
Yeah, there are a few of those, and they're usually pretty up-tempo. There's one called Heaven and Hell. Let's see. I think there's one called Where Are You? There's another song that I was going to try to get on. And I think that would have been an okay game song. Maybe they're not quite fast. The problem is my tunes are too mellow and too slow, even the up-tempo ones still compared to most of what the game songs were. So they didn't really have a need for laid-back songs. The Game Maniacs wanted the fast, hard stuff, so.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's just not really fun to try to come up with those songs very much. So and it's not my main job. So
yeah, we've had a conversation on this podcast actually, or have we? Anyway, there's songs charted for the song, and then there's songs charted for difficulty. And so lately, I feel like the games are becoming more and more difficult because the players demand it, which leaves a little bit less room for like different types of genres. They have to be within a specific BPM that have a certain type of feel, and they're going for, and that seems to be the case for Bemani nowadays, where it's like a lot of the composers now used to be players of the games, specifically in Beatmania. There are producers now who were like of the top tier echelon player, and now they're working with Konami, and so naturally the songs they make are going to be suitable for difficulty, right, rather than any type of musical. So it's a shift that we've noticed as players over the I guess you could argue if it's a good thing or not, but I guess if people are still playing the games, the Konami's happy, right? They're still making their money. So all right, so anyway, enough of that diatribe. Are there any other artists that you particularly wanted to work with at Konami, or maybe work with more if you were given the opportunity?
Yeah, I wanted to work with Maida more. I wanted to do more songs with him for DDR, especially after we did Silent Hill and La Señorita, because those seemed like they turned out really good and they were popular. So, but I didn't have a way to make them do. They just had to ask whenever they asked me, and that's it. So
right. And so, of the people that you worked with, like, not to pick favorites, we're not trying to do that, but like, who would you say was the most satisfying or memorable to work with?
Well, besides Maida, of course, Sakurai, because he wrote, great rock tunes and like almost anthems, a lot of his songs. And then I'd say Koizuka wrote songs that are most similar to like my style of songwriting. So it was like really natural. We did a bunch of songs, Now I'm Here or On Our Way, or those kind of songs are kind of right up my alley. So that was fun doing his songs.
Great. On Our Way. Okay, so obviously, we can't cover everything you've done for Konami within the scope of this podcast, although John has stated that certainly feels that way. So,
most of it.
Yeah, we tried to cover as many bases as we could, but I'll have to ask, like, how does it feel to have such a legacy at Konami and in the Bemani series?
Yeah, it's great. And, it's not all of my musical ambitions come true, but it's definitely, at least I'm sort of on the map of something. And so it's nice. Something that a bunch of people like and remember. So, and I've gotten a few fans from different countries all over the world that I never would have ever known about me without that. So it's kind of fun. And, I'm proud of the stuff I did for Konami. So it was a great experience. I feel lucky that I just got hooked up with them and able to do that.
Well, do you feel that you could name a favorite song that you produced for them? Could you pin a few favorites down?
Oh, Well, we already sort of discussed most of those. Yeah, Out of Breath was one of my favorites. Out of Breath, Silent Hill, Midnight Special. I still like that song a lot. It's catchy. Double Trouble, just because of the pizza thing.
Right.
I just like I have a silly side and a not silly side. So the silly side definitely likes all those kind of songs. Yeah. Well, I guess Depend on Me is up there.
Okay. And I mean, I know we talked about Conquistador. Are you still well, I don't know if this is an NDA deal, but have you been contacted since then, or is there anything coming down the pipeline that you could maybe share?
Not since then. So,
okay.
But who knows? They don't. I don't think they do. They don't do a lot of songs that would be my style these days. There are almost no songs in English, I think, right, coming out.
Is that a fair assessment, John?
Yeah, it might be. There aren't that many.
It's
anymore.
A lot of J-pop and a lot of really up tempo, as far as I can tell. I haven't been listening to all their stuff recently, but last time I got a soundtrack album from them, it was The one song that I had on that last soundtrack album I got, like the song I sang was the only one in that style. The rest seemed like really fast and really like J-pop. And
that'd be what, Adrenaline in XG2.
Feel the power of adrenaline in my veins. I can do it. I can break through these mental chains.
Maybe, I can't remember. I just remember listening to it and going, man, I sort of stick out like a sore thumb on this record.
Well, he did Power in XG3.
Oh, that's right.
Power.
That was another Azumi tune.
You can tell me what you wanna, I know that you're never gonna back up what you say, 'cause you say it every day. Baby, come on, girl, you tell me I'm the only one until the next day it all starts again. No, we'll go around. You can tell me just forget about it, I know you never let it go, even though you regret it, just like every day. I can show you what you do, I see it all inside of you. You know yourself it is true. No, I'll never go. So you'll have to get.
You can tell me what you wanna. I can tell you're never gonna back up what you say because you say it every day.
You can sing that better than me. I totally forgot that. I forgot it even existed. Dang. Now that you say it, it sort of comes back.
It comes back to you. And it's funny because that's like one of your most recent tunes.
Yeah,
XG2 is still a good distance ago at this point.
Yeah.
That was like 2012.
Yeah, that's fair.
It came out 2012, so they were probably recording it 2011 maybe.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we're done with the Konami block. So we can go on to your other musical projects. This is more of a personal question because I've noticed over the years when I was following you, like you'll sometimes promote your albums and your promotional materials, your Facebook banners, and your art images. They always have like an ethereal quality to them, sort of like hazy, and like the different types of photo manipulations you do to the pictures and stuff. And on your most recent Butterfly album, you even credited one of your kids as doing the artwork on there. So I guess the question is, have you generally produced your own artwork over the years, or do you have other people help you?
All of it. Yeah, I do all my album covers. And my daughter had that drawing of the butterfly, and I just, put that into my album cover.
And so, like, would you say you have like a particular aesthetic? Because it's like almost like embossed graphics and hazy. You know what I'm referring to? Like the different types of.
Yeah, I like things that fade into each other and things like that.
Yeah.
And shadow. It's probably a little old fashioned now. I think like the art aesthetic has gotten more like sharp. Like even the icons on iPhones and stuff are really just flat and 2D, simplified nowadays. I liked them better when they were sort of 3D and like you felt like you were falling into that world in a way. But I guess that's old-fashioned now.
Well, I think it defines your look. It's a very like memorable and like unique look, and that's why I wanted to ask about it, because I've seen it on almost all your album covers, and like I was like on your Twitter and so on and so forth. Like you usually have a picture of your face, but then it's just like hazy, border around it or whatever.
Well, it's the tools I use too. Probably sometimes I use things on just apps on my phone or my iPad, but then in Windows I always used rather than Photoshop I used Serif. And I used a Serif page. What's it called? I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, it's their basic app for it's like a Photoshop type app. And then I also used. It's funny, but there's a scrapbooking app that the basic design is a square, so it's perfect for album cover, for CD covers. And they have a bunch of backgrounds, and they have a bunch of weirdly affected fonts and things like that. And it was just really easy to lay out an album cover on that. And they also have this. It's like this with the serif thing. It's got all these bevels and shadows and things you can do to text and to images and to everything. It's really easy to get. It's just it's a lot easier than Photoshop.
Sure.
So it's like there was no learning curve. I immediately could just, look at that. And it was so easy. So that's probably why they look like the way they look, because I like that software. And they've got a new version of their software I just bought this year. It's got a different name. I don't remember what it's called. It sounds really, and the layout looks all different, but the tools are basically the same. So my next album cover will probably look the same too.
Okay.
I'll probably use that.
Well, yeah, thanks for answering that, because it's something I've always kind of wondered in the back of my mind. All right, well, here it is. Here's the question that everyone's been waiting for. In your 2013 release of Dangerous Lies, you released a particularly memorable track that more than one person has asked me to ask you. And so we have to ask, what was the inspiration for CBFC?
She had an almost perfect angel's face. If that angel came from outer space, and I was 50% attracted to that girl. She was cute, but flat-chested. That girl couldn't get arrested. She was cute, flat-chested. Those babies wouldn't be noticed at all, even if they were on display down at City Hall.
Well, have you seen the video?
Yes. I've seen several videos. I saw a video that someone made that put like anime characters. Is that the one that you're referring to?
That I
Okay. So yeah. So you heard it here first. Thomas put that video together.
I just tried to find anime pictures that described what the lyrics were saying or what they were about. So and it's just, when I walk, I've been married for a lot of years, but when I walk down the street, I look at girls. Everybody looks at people, and I just remember that day. I saw a girl. She had a really cute face, and then I noticed that she was just like completely flat-chested, like there's nothing, and I just said to myself, she's cute but flat-chested. I went, hey, that's kind of catchy. Cute but flat-chested. And then I wrote the song as I walked. I had the whole song already arranged and pretty much in my mind by the time I got home. It's just when I think of a phrase like that, there have been a lot of times when I came up with really sort of semi-raunchy but silly songs that I never finished writing. I just had the idea, but then I went, people will just think I'm a jerk. I'm not going to do that. But in this case, I just went with it, and it was there was enough fun in doing it that I just stuck with it until I finished it.
We had a friend that for some reason thought you didn't want to talk about it. He's kind of a weird. He's kind of a weird guy, but apparently he said it. He must have dreamed it or something. Because I was trying to find the source. Like, wait, well, where did Thomas? I mean, first of all, you released it, right? Like, and it's on an album.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you want to talk about it?
Yeah, I don't know if I want my daughters to see. I don't think my daughters have ever seen that or know about that. But they probably might someday. They're grown up, so.
Yeah, we were a little concerned it was maybe like based on a family member or something that you may have known. But it's good to know that it was just a girl on the street.
I just happened to see somebody, and that phrase popped in my head. I went, hey, normally if that goes through your head, you just think it and then you go move on. Right? But I thought it, I went, oh, that kind of sounds like cute, the flat chested. That girl couldn't get arrested. and I love that line.
Okay, well, thank you for demystifying that for us, because that was. I'm telling you, when I say like a lot of people asked about it, like probably at least 5 requested some background on that song. So thank you. Okay, so you've produced a ton of releases independently. You've been featured in more than, let's say, 10. I think the number you gave us was closer to 14 albums at this point. Amongst all of your records, and we talked about how you still perform in public. Which songs do you actively perform from your works, your albums?
Let's see. I've got a song called "I've Told You." I play that a lot. It's kind of dramatic, and I just play it and sing it. I've got a song that I use a track for this song from the album "What Am I," and that song, "What Am I?" It's kind of a ethereal sounding pop song, and it seems to go over pretty well because mostly Japanese audiences won't understand my lyrics, so it's got to catch their attention musically, or they won't. They have to just like the sound enough because they're not really listening to my lyrics probably usually. Mm-hmm. And then a song I play a lot it's kind of country tinged pop ballad, and it's called "A Minute with You," and it's off the Butterfly album.
Right. Yeah.
I've played that one a lot because people seem to react to it really well.
So what album of yours would you recommend to a first-time listener to get a sense of who you are as an artist?
People always ask me that when at my gigs, which album should I buy? And it's really hard because I put so many songs on an album. I'll put 20 songs, and there's like 2 years of my life on there. So there's some of every side of me on each album, pretty much.
Sure.
There's some really up-tempo things and some ballads. I'll delve into a little bit into different styles. So I don't know, probably any of them. I always like my newest one the best. So right now I'm like really into the Butterfly album and the Sunday Shoes album most. But I guess those two right now are my favorites. But that's because they're the newest probably.
Sure. That makes sense. Okay. You recently had your Cyborgs in Space song that you did with Jamie remixed and featured in a Radio Gosha music video. I think you originally composed that for your Digital Digits album.
I've seen our future and it's plastic, steel and glass with our brain interface to the exoskeleton, so every thought can pass and is easy to erase. We'll all be cyborgs. We'll all be cyborgs. We'll all be cyborgs in space. We'll all be
Right. And we've mentioned Jamie a few times in this podcast, but are there any people that you still work with regularly, in your musical career that you like to mention as well?
Well, on that Butterfly album, there's a guy that I knew many years ago. Let's see. I only met him for like about a week. He's a guitar player, but he was a really good guitar player. And I was living in LA, and he visited from Ohio, and that was back when I was like 19 years old, I think. And then it's been
several years,
30 some years since I saw him. And I haven't seen him, but we just got in contact online. And I asked him if he was still playing guitar, and he said, yeah. And I said, hey, if I send you a song, can you lay down some tracks for me and send it back? And just send me the wave files of your guitar, and I'll mix them in. And we were both having fun with it. So his guitar is on almost every song in the Butterfly album. He's got guitar songs, some rhythm guitar parts, and a bunch of stuff.
Was he the one that worked on? Well, Kim, first of all, if we can't mention this, let me know so I can edit it. But the Father Time song that you sent me the other day, was he the same guitarist on that, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we mention that now, or is that for a future project?
Oh, that's fine. That's going to be on my next album. So.
Okay. So yeah, Thomas just finished mixing a tune called Father Time. This is my wife, by the way. I don't know if you.
I can't see.
Oh, you cut off. Okay. So yes, Father Time is coming soon. Keep tuned into Thomas.
Beware of Father Time.
Alrighty. Okay, so we're getting near the end here. Have you ever contributed your voice or talents to other video games or commercial projects over the years?
Commercial products, yes. Video games, no. I haven't worked for any other companies for video games. I've done some local commercials, and I've done a bunch of wrote songs for corporate, like some sort of, I don't know what they're used for, but they pay me the big bucks, so I don't mind.
Nice.
But yeah, I years ago I did something for some sort of small independent film, but I don't know if I even ever saw the final product. But I'd like to do a lot more stuff like that. So.
Okay.
Oh, I composed I did a composition for full symphony orchestra, which was performed last December 1st, I think, in Tokyo. Huh. And they keep promising me that they'll send me a video of it, because I didn't get to go see it. I went to the orchestra rehearsal, and that was great. They were really good. It was a good orchestra, and they were really amazing. So if they ever send me the video, I'll send it to you, and you can check it out. It's I think it turned out pretty good. It's the first time I've composed for an orchestra, and there was an Italian composer who helped me with some of the orchestration, because it was kind of difficult writing the parts so that everybody could play them correctly.
Right. Yeah.
Certain tricks that I'm not that well versed in. So.
Awesome.
He helped me in Finale. I use Finale, so he helped me to, split up all the tracks, all the different parts for all the players, everything.
Okay.
And there was only one kettle drum player, so I had parts going boom, 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 and he couldn't do it. He only had two kettle drums, and he couldn't do it. So when I went to the rehearsal, he was just going boom, boom. He's like missing all the other beats because he couldn't play that other note. So those were things, learning things. If there would have been two players and four drums, then they could have played my parts. But
sure, it's a learning experience. It sounds like.
Yeah, but that is really thrilling. If you ever compose music for an orchestra, it's amazing.
Yeah, please. If you end up getting the video, go ahead and send it our way. We'd love to see it. All right. So we have to mention these guys too. These guys, they were part of the reason I was able to get some of this information right. But the Neon FM guys, several years ago, Unity Technology, both of the Erics, Yaki and Ruth.
Do you know them?
I know Eric Ruth. Yaki, I introduced myself to him, and he actually provided me some of the videos from your performance at the. I guess it was like a release party for Neon FM.
Oh, yeah.
So my sources, which at this point are the Erics, they told me that Konami was not too happy with you after you came back to Japan.
I think they mentioned something about it, but I don't think it wasn't a big problem.
Okay. Yeah. We were wondering.
For me, maybe it was a bit, it was a big problem for them, obviously, because they weren't able to. They lost their sponsor and they weren't able to produce the game.
Right. Well, if you're not aware, they changed it from being a dance game to a game that you use your hands, and so they're still around. They've kept the Neon FM name, but they've put it onto a different form factor, and I think they've worked with Andamiro, their Korean company, and so they're making official cabinets now with this new version of Neon FM. Yeah.
Oh.
And so it still exists. There's actually a mobile game. You could download it on your iPod now if you want to check it out. Same name, Neon FM.
It doesn't have my song on it.
So, interesting that you bring that up.
Oh, no.
I was told that they would sell the rights to that song. Part of the deal of combining with working with Andamiro, that Eric Yaki stated, was that he'll work with them if they take the rights to Girls' Butts, which is the song that we're talking about.
Wanna know what I did today? I was looking at girls' butts, hanging out in the subway, looking at girls' butts, looking at girls' butts, looking at girls.
Well, now you can see that I'm the same guy who wrote that song who wrote
CPFC.
Yeah.
So
once something that is in my head, then it's stuck and I have to write a song about it.
So I think it seems a little silly, but what was the inspiration for this song?
It's that song. The lyrics are literally a true story. It's self-explanatory.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm constantly have my head down as I walk around. It was just I happened to. That was the mood I was in that day, and so I wrote a song about it. But
all right. Did anything else interesting happen while you were collabing with Unit E and all those guys?
With Eric?
Sure, yeah. With the performance, maybe whatever you remember.
Well, he did a couple of raps he did a rap for my other song, "Funky Feeling," which is I think that song with digits. And there's another one called. Oh, did he do a rap for Retro? No, I don't think he ever did a rap for Retro. But yeah, he did it, and he did it for Funky Feeling. That turned out pretty good.
Okay.
He raps. He always sounded a lot like Rodney Dangerfield to me when he raps.
Yeah. Okay.
A vibe. It's just like a vibe in the tone of his voice.
He has a distinct voice. I think that's fair to say.
I get no respect.
Yeah, he's doing well too. He seemed to be in good spirits, and I don't know if he's still making music. Back then, he went by DJ Potato.
Yeah, DJ Potato.
But I'm not sure if he's still. I need to ask him if he is or not. Okay, well, great. So you heard it here. You heard it here.
Also, his song. I wrote lyrics for his song on my other album too. It's a song about a gamer, so it's really that I just totally made up. It's probably not realistic about it. Real actual gamer. And this guy, Arise, maybe.
It was. You mentioned it was for your album.
Yeah, he had this track that he did, and My Perfect Day. It's called My Perfect Day.
Oh, okay.
And it sounds really DJ Potato-y. I mean, it's got that. It's kind of a frantic sounding song. It's really cool.
We've got.
I see it.
Yep, there you are. Okay, we got one last question.
Okay.
Did you want to ask this one, John? Since you've been patiently waiting over there.
That's all good. So, have you ever had any memorable interactions with fans that you can recall and would like to recount?
Memorable interactions. Well, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to remember his name. Oh gosh, there's a guy that was he was a fan, but he also wrote music, and he won a competition to get his song on a Konami game, and he's American.
Are you talking about Bill Shillito?
Yeah, him. I met him, and he came to Japan.
Oh, he's gonna love that. So John and I went to college with
I'm
Bill.
sorry, I couldn't think of his name. Please forgive me.
No, it's good.
I have a brain like if I can't even remember Michael J. Fox's name. So
yeah, Bill, John, and I, we all went to the same college. So and he actually produced a number of songs for Konami and other companies as well.
After that, was that the first one that he got? That was Go. I remember that song.
Right. Yeah, Ich Nissan Chi Go. Yep, it was a big deal for him at the time because it was essentially his foot in the door. You know.
Yeah, it was very cool. It was a good, amazing song too. And then let's see. Other ones are just Japanese fans. Like there was a guy that would make the trip from Tokyo quite often and come and see me play at when I was playing at the Porta Pia Hotel. And he would always ask me lots of questions about Konami games and stuff. And there have been a few other people like that. Then as far as online, yeah, there was a young woman from Peru.
Oh wow!
That lives in Peru, and she's bought one of my albums, and I sent it to her, and she's kind of been a pretty nice fan. And she first, I think, found me from Konami songs. So there's a few.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've never been to South America, so.
We know a guy that lives over there. He goes by Robo. He's a very interesting dude. We'll just leave it at that. He's a big fan of Sana. Are you familiar with Sana?
Sana, no.
What's her full name? I don't.
Sanae Shintani.
Oh.
She did a number of songs with Konami, but she was more of a vocalist. And other people compose music for her, kind of similar to you actually. But yeah, he's what comes to mind whenever I think of music game fans in Peru. The reason we asked that last question was because we had a friend. He goes by Kevin DDR online, but he mentioned that he had met you during one of your gigs, and apparently there was a family there that was like celebrating a wedding or something like that, or some type of celebration, and they paid for all of his food, and you talked to him in between songs or something to that effect, and he said that he had nothing but praise for you, so it was great. And he certainly appreciated the free food.
I don't remember, man. There's so many things like that. Probably if I saw his face. Was it a long time ago or was it kind of recent?
I don't know. Do you remember when Kevin said that was, John?
I want to say it was on the order of maybe 3 or 4 years ago, like within the last 4 years, something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really narrowing it down, right?
Did he say it was in Kyoto?
Actually, we could probably check right now. Let me see. I will verify.
Because that sounds like the kind of thing that would happen in that place in Kyoto.
For some reason in my mind, Osaka is actually coming to mind.
Oh.
Let's see. It's super interesting and nice. So don't feel like you have
to
be
I know where that... you know what? I sort of vaguely remember it now. They're a really elderly couple that and they're either their family members or their friends who are with them, and they always come there and they always buy us food.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, so he just happened to get in on the lucky day. And I remember them talking to some American guy, I guess, I think it was American, talking to them for a long time. I don't even know if he talked to me that much. He talked to them a lot.
Yeah, he mentioned that he talked to you between songs or sets or whatever, and that they kept asking him a lot of questions because, and let me get the exact quote. He said it was one of the most memorable nights of his night.
Is he a really tall guy?
I believe so, and he said he was from Seattle, and that they appreciated the fact that his grandfather had spent some time in Seattle after World War II. It was kind of an interesting story.
In Seattle, in Japan, after World War II?
No. To the family that was serving him the food, allowing him to eat the food, he mentioned that he had family from Seattle, and so he was a tall, white guy, and so yeah, he was partaking in the freebies, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Thomas, you did it. We reached the end of this interview. It's been almost 3 hours.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be this long. Holy cow! Oh.
Yeah, that's why I brought up editing, perhaps. But you've been more than accommodating, so we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
It's I don't really have, all kinds of people paparazzi after me, so it's actually fun.
Well, we hope you had a good time, because we did.
I did.
For sure.
Yeah, it's satisfying to have people interested in your musical endeavors. So even the goofy ones or the crazy ones.
Awesome. All right. Well, I guess before we sign out, do you have anything you want to say to the listeners of the show?
Oh, I don't know. Happy New Year. No, everybody enjoy playing the games. Have a great life. Talk to me anytime.
Alrighty. And again, you can find Thomas Howard's music on Reverb Nation, CD Baby. It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. A couple tunes. iTunes.
Oh, yeah, you got to search Thomas Howard Lichtenstein. You got to give him the last name. There's some other Thomas Howards, probably.
Thomas Howard Lichtenstein. THL.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for this episode of the Georgia Music Gamers Podcast. This has been your host, Cyber. And...
Thank you, Cyber.
I've been John. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm still Thomas. I remain Thomas, as always.
It's been great to get these little insights in sort of how the sausage is made, so to speak. I love that type of insider, like how it's done type of stuff. So this has been really great.
Okay.
And we are off. Goodbye.
Okay. Bye. See you guys.
All right,
Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to this special episode of the Georgia Music Gamers Podcast. We hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed making it. As the date would suggest, this interview was recorded months ago, September 2019. Now, I realize this episode has been long overdue, so I want to take some time to explain a bit about what happened. When I began these long-form interviews with the Bemani artists, I wanted to make them a bit more dynamic by editing clips in and providing examples of the songs that we were talking about. And as you can imagine, editing takes time. So this is compounded by the length of the interview itself. I think in this case we had over 3 hours of footage that I had to sift through. It was a nightmare, to say the least, because I ran into all sorts of technical problems when I was editing. In the time since the recording, Adobe Premiere got an update, and that basically broke all of my editing projects. After weeks of trying, I decided I needed to find another application that I could use for video editing because Premiere just wasn't working. It was constantly crashing. I'm not a professional video editor, so there was a learning curve, but I eventually landed on DaVinci Resolve. It's a free program, and hopefully the results are satisfactory. You guys let me know in the comments, I guess. In my personal life, I was dealing with a job loss, and that took several months of my time. The issues in our world, including the pandemic, also negatively affected me and my family. But I'm thankful now. I'm fine. I'm in a position where I can work from home, but it took me a very long time to get to this point. So it basically pushed back the editing a bunch because of that. I say all this to say that I'm happy you're here, and I greatly appreciate the support that you've given me to this, specifically to the podcast. I ask that if you are listening, that you please share it, let other people know about it, uh, and if you enjoyed it, give me a like, or just like I said, the simplest thing you can do is just listen and share. I do this as a labor of love because I'm a fan of music games and I'm a fan of great music. So thank you for listening and thank you for tuning in. Bye.